Alright guys, we got the head off here. I figured I'd go ahead and let y'all watch me work here. I got just a tap here. This is a nice tap socket. These are pretty helpful. Put that on there. And it's running in with your ratchet. Now the reason we're doing this is because you want the threads to go as deep as possible. These head studs, you know, the more threads on there, the easier it's going to be for it to stay in there. You want to put the tap in by hand. That way if it were to, you know, feel funny or get kind of hung up, you don't want a power tool running this thing in there. So I'm just going to go until she bottoms out. There it is. And then I'm going to cheat and use the air to get her out a little bit faster. And on to all the rest of them. Now that all the holes are tapped, I gotta run this magnet down through, get all the junk out that the tapping process is made. Get all these bolt holes cleaned out. There's a lot of little metal shavings in there. Alright guys, now all my bolt holes are cleaned out with the metal shavings. I'm going to go ahead and take my angle grinder and clean up the surface of the head here. Last thing you want to do is go ahead and blow out all the bolt holes with shop air. Alright, now I'll go ahead and install the new head gasket. It's actually this way. Now the head gasket's on, we're about ready to put the head on. I'll go ahead and show you guys the difference here, why I'm running a different head. It's basically the same style head, I just it already has some work done to it, and it's just easier just to use what I already got. So here's a new head, I just got it all cleaned up. It's got heavier valve springs on it. It's got what they call a top hat valve seal. Keeps it sealed up a little bit better. This is the intake here, and on the other side is what used to be for your fuel filter on like your first gen Cummins. They don't use them on the P pump motors, but it still has this huge casting that comes like clear out to here and back up. It's kind of like right in the way, so I cut that out of this one, and I put a couple bolts in the center of the where your fuel filter would go and up here to block the holes. And the other thing I did is this bolt hole right here has a big casting on the underside of it. It's actually right here. I cut this out. This sat here and it really blocked airflow to your number one cylinder. So I cut that out. I had to get kind of creative to get that out of there. I took this piece of angle iron and a couple Sawzall blades, and I was able to cut the underside of this and come down and cut down this way. And then once I got pretty far down, I just put a bolt in there and threaded it in, and it pushed out like the corner that was still attached. So there's that. So yeah, I should have better flow here and here. I got valve springs, better valve seals, and the main thing is the O-rings. So your factory head is basically just smooth. This here has had they go and they machine a groove in your head, and then they put this wire in here, and this wire pinches down on the metal ring that seals your cylinder up on your head gasket, and it makes it really hard to blow a head gasket. So yeah, this thing weighs it's over 100 pounds. It might be like 120 or something. I'm gonna go ahead and get the engine hoist out, so I can put it down carefully, because you don't want to do that by hand. So I'm gonna drag that out there, and then we'll go ahead and toss this on the block. I got my ARP studs here, and now that the head's in place, I'll go ahead and put some lube on them, and I'll go ahead and tighten these up. You want to do it hand tight for the studs. I got my push rods here. We'll go ahead and put all these in. I still got my tappet cover off down here on the side, so it's going to make it real easy for me to tell when the push rods are properly installed. There's that one. This one looks good. This one. That one. That one. That one. Okay, so all the push rods are in the lifters now. Now to run these head studs, you're gonna have one of two modifications. I know the older ARP head studs, I think they were a little bit taller, and they had you mill out the webbing and part of the valve cover to clear the nut that sits on top of your rocker pedestal. I think all the newer kits are like this one, where they actually have you machine down. Basically you lower where the nut sits. You took us to my buddy at the machine shop. I forget the exact how they had them lower it, but you have that lowered, and then there's room for the nut to clear your valve covers. All right, now all these fasteners are finger tight. I backed off all the adjustments on the rocker arms. They're all nice and loose. You don't want to have them tight and have to compress your springs when you're torquing these, because out there your torque spec's off. So anyway, I'm gonna start out with these small ones. ARP says to torque them to 25 foot-pounds. So we'll go through and do that. All right, now that's done, I'll go ahead and start tightening the big studs. Whenever you're tightening up any cylinder head, they always have the numbers, the sequence you're supposed to follow. But really, they're all kind of the same. You start in center, and you like spiral out. So I'm gonna start. Let's see here. Start with this one right here. And so ARP says to take 3 passes up to 125 foot-pounds. So I guess some 3 passes are pretty much up to you. I'm gonna start out with 50 foot-pounds. So I got these torqued in sequence. They're all torqued to, I just did 50 foot-pounds. They don't really say exactly what steps to put them at. I'm gonna do 50 and 90 before I do the 125. Sounds good enough to me, so I'll go ahead and crank them all down to 90. There's 90. Now it's time for a final pass at 125 foot-pounds. Right there. All right, man, we got them all torqued in. This thing's super handy. You're gonna want to get one of these. It's they call it an engine barring tool. It's just this plug on the back of your bell housing. You pop out this rubber plug here. It came from right there. You pop that out. You put your engine barring tool in here. And then so I got a swivel on some long extensions. I'm gonna turn the engine over so my timing marks line up. So then we're starting to line up. I'm gonna go ahead and push on my pin until the pin goes in. All right, there's my timing pin. It's in place. That's top dead center. Number 1 is on the compression stroke when the pin goes in. So okay, so I got my feeler gauges. Looks like the intake is 10 thousandths. So just find that in my little feeler gauge set here. Right here it is, 10 thousandths. That's going to be the intake, which is the one closest to me. Put him in here. That's pretty good. This is 9/16 nut. So once you get it where you want it, snug that down. This one, this is the intake also. That's going to be 10 thousandths as well. Feels pretty good. Tighten that one down. We'll just go ahead and do all the intakes, I guess. Looks like 1, 2, and 4. So let's do cylinder 4 right here. That feels pretty good. Okay. The exhaust is 20 thousandths. So I'll find that. We're gonna do exhaust on 1, 3, and 5. Okay, so the intake and exhaust is done on 1. So intake on 1, 2, and 4, exhaust on 1, 3, and 5. Now we gotta flip the engine up and do the remaining ones. So I'm gonna use my engine barring tool here. Make sure my timing pin is out so I don't knock the head of it off. Basically, you're gonna want to mark your. It's easier to mark your balancer, the Sharpie or something. I happen to have the cover off, but you're gonna put it back on top dead center, but not on number 1 compression strip. That looks pretty close. So when you're on top dead center, in case this helps any, your bolts on your balancer are going to be nice and straight. You know, it's 4 bolts. It's going to be nice and level and straight when you're on top dead center. All right, so now I'll check my phone here and see which ones we do on this position. Looks like the intake going to be on 3, 5, and 6. So 10 thousandths intake on 3, 5, and 6. All right, there's my 10. So let's do intake on 3 here. Good. Go ahead and lock that down. So all my intakes are done. Now we got to do a 20 thousandths on the exhaust on 2, 4, and 6. So all your evens on the exhaust. 20 thousandths here. Here's number 2. Now that all the valves are adjusted, I'll go ahead and throw the valve covers on. Keep that area clean. And sun's starting to go down, so I'll probably go ahead and clean up and do some more work on it tomorrow. So yeah, that's the installation of this head. It's now O-ringed, head studded. I should be free to crank the timing up now. That's the main reason why I wanted to put this on. If you crank up the timing with the stock head gasket, stock head bolts, stock head, you're just going to blow a head gasket. So glad this is on here, and we'll continue with the build another time.